Hi everyone, today we are digging deep in the bankruptcy breakdown where I dig into how businesses collapsed and what they could have done differently, especially in their operations, in their systems, and with their support. So let's walk through a real world scenario. Toys R Us was once an iconic realtor that was brought down by debt, by mismanagement, and by missed opportunities. I wanted to know, could a virtual assistant have changed the outcome? So stick around while I dig through all the evidence that I found. Welcome to the Bankruptcy Breakdown series, where I shift through news reports, through news stories, and through court filings to piece together the downfall of major brands. As someone who's built Alpine Virtual from the ground up, I have seen how operational gaps can sink even the mightiest of companies. So today I wanted to zero in on Toys R Us, once a childhood haven that I personally loved, and now it's a cautionary tale. I reviewed their 2017 bankruptcy filings. I analyzed their industry trends from 2017, and I cross-checked executive statements. My take, a high-level virtual assistant might have been able to mitigate some of the chaos that led to their $5 billion debt and their eventual collapse. So let's break it down with the facts. Toys R Us was a giant. Court filings from their 2017 bankruptcy show that their peak revenue was at $11.5 billion in the late 1990s. And that started a lot of stores and an unforgettable jingle, but trouble really brewed for them by 2005. A leveraged buyout by private equity firms like KKR saddled them with $5.3 billion in debt. And meanwhile, news archives from the period reveal that online shopping was taking off. Amazon sales hit $8.5 billion in 2005 per their annual report, while Walmart and Target were adapting to e-commerce. Toys R Us, however, outsourced their online store to Amazon in a 2000 deal, which only led to them suing Amazon in 2004 because Amazon was selling competitors' toys. So court records show that this misstep cost them the market share, and then they never really recovered from that. By 2017, bankruptcy was inevitable. The store closures began in 2018 with over 700 locations shut down, and that left thousands jobless. But it wasn't just debt that was a problem. Internal breakdowns were the real killer. A 2018 analysis of the bankruptcy cited disjointed operations and outed IT systems as key failures. News reports highlighted executives admitting to slow decision-making, so that meant that meetings were dragging on, emails were piling up, and departments were operating in silos. Meanwhile, nothing was really getting done. I dug into industry data, which shows that competitors like Target had cut their decision times by 40% with better systems. Toys R Us was just lacking agility. They didn't have clear communication, and they didn't have a pulse on their customers or on their rivals. Gaps that court filings suggest went unaddressed for years. Here's where it gets really interesting. I reviewed operational case studies and found areas where VAs could have intervened based on our own experience with our own clients. So first, competitive intelligence tracking. Imagine a virtual assistant back then who's monitoring Amazon's pricing weekly, Target's Black Friday promos. They're pulling data from public reports, and they're summarizing it for leadership to review. A 2023 report notes that realtors losing 15% of market share annually without such insights. So Toys R Us could have seen the threat earlier. Second, decision-making systems. Court filings mention that there were bottlenecks in approvals, and a virtual assistant could have helped. They could have built SOPs, and they could have streamlined processes. So if X happens, then do Y to escalate to Z, mirroring how modern realtors like Walmart operate. Third, communication follow-through. A VA could have tracked meeting action items, ensured executives' holiday campaign ideas were reaching store managers, closing the gap that was noted in the analysis. Could one virtual assistant have saved them? No. $5 billion in debt per bankruptcy docs, that's just a mountain way too high. But could the cumulative effect of missed trends and internal chaos be avoidable? Absolutely. A 2024 report on retail failures emphasizes that 60% of all collapses stem from operational inefficiencies, exactly where virtual assistants excel. At Alpine, we have seen VAs cut client decision times by 25% and boost communication clarity by 30% per our internal metrics. So for Toys R Us, even a small team of VAs tracking competitors, optimizing systems, and aligning teams could have brought a critical pivot. The lesson here is stark for business owners. Structure trumps sentiment. Toys R Us had nostalgia and loyal customers, but without agile systems and without decision support, they crumbled. Court filings and news stories confirm that their downfall was about as much about execution as finance. A VA obviously is not a magic bullet, but they can transform how a business runs beyond emails into strategic support that prevents collapse. This isn't speculation. This is backed by data from our work and from industry analysis. Thanks for watching this deep dive. If you found this breakdown valuable, like, subscribe, and drop in the comments which company I should cover next.